Steph, I'm pretty sure you stuck this story in about just the hijinks. Is that the right word? So I actually
The
watched a lot.
theatrics.
Yes,
It was a
it
lot of
it
theater
it was
happening.
very performative.
Yes, a
If you
lot of
want to use that as a word.
theater. Theater.
So for
The
so
legitimate theater.
so there, so we talk about big tech companies, but some big social media tech heads. They were all in front of Congress last week, and pretty much got read the riot act. And as I said, it was a clown show. It was what I was expecting, but they're going to have to figure some of this stuff out because, like, Stephanie, this is your area. Kids are unprotected in a ridiculous way right now, and we have to
Absolutely.
get that fixed.
Absolutely. So Mark Zuckerberg, Evan Spiegel, um, Linda Zaccarino from X, the boy from TikTok, and an old boy from Discord. I'm sorry, I don't have their names right in front of me. But it was Meta, Snapchat, X, TikTok, and Discord. The CEOs from all five of those companies met on Capitol Hill. Were required to come to Capitol Hill. Actually, not required because Mark Zuckerberg and Evan Spiegel actually volunteered to go. The other three had to be subpoenaed to
Right.
show up, which I thought was very interesting. But they were up there on my birthday, actually, last Wednesday, the 31st, and got grilled for like 4 good hours about um, child sexual exploitation on the internet. It was actually called the hearing itself. Hold on, let me get it right. Let me get it right. I had it pulled up, and now I can't see it. The hearing was actually called the hearing on um, child sexual exploitation or something to that effect. I'll find it. I have like three different windows up open. And it was specifically to address the problem of child sexual exploitation on social media platforms and what could be done about it. And again, it's a super important topic. Our government definitely needs to do something, but I felt like there was a lot of posturing to look tough on this issue by the politicians. I mean, Lindsey Graham's like, do you know you have blood on your hands? You know what I mean? Just being over, like, literally, that was his quote, like, you have blood on your hands, and being overly dramatic, and the way that, Mark Zuckerberg was sort of coerced into apologizing to the families, which he should have done
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah,
But the
Josh Hawley made that man stand up,
man,
turn
man,
around, and personally
like,
apologize
it
to the
was
family sitting behind him.
right. It was so crazy and kind of ridiculous. The thing, they're not wrong. I'll preface all of this by saying the politicians aren't wrong in what they're calling for. Um, in as a solution, because Lindsey Graham actually did say out of his mouth that we need to repeal Section 230. So I was like, finally, at least somebody actually said it out loud. But the way they went about it, I think, was unproductive. I don't think it accomplished anything. I think it maybe made the parents that were there feel better or something. But I know, I was watching a particular exchange between Mark Zuckerberg and that guy that made him apologize. He's like, you're a billionaire. Are you gonna pay these people compensation out of your own pocket? And then he wouldn't let him answer. And it was just like, but the whole thing is like, okay, yes, we have some things we need to do, but are y'all gonna step up and pass something? Can you let me know that? Because we haven't had any new legislation around this issue in more than a decade. So
I,
what you doing? Like, I can do what I can do, but I need you to do something as well. And that would have been I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to be super combative, but they were getting real ignorant, and that would have been my pushback to, because the company's not going to do anything until you force them to, until you legislate something that makes it possible for people to get compensation from these companies. So they're not going to change anything until they have to.
right,
They're
and
not
these
going to
big
have to until the government makes a law that says they have to. So
right, because
it's
these
on
it's
y'all.
like, yeah, it's like the politicians want the tech companies or these tech CEOs to represent their consumers when the elected officials should represent the people who
Yes.
elect them.
Thank
And
you.
it's just crazy. Well, it's not crazy. We know what time it is with these politicians and these hearings, especially during, election cycles and things of
Right.
that nature. They are under the assumption that people don't read, People don't go on the news. People don't do their understanding and find out what's going
And
on.
they're not wrong
We
about that
watch
either.
TV. We watch TV. So when a hearing like this is going to be on TV, these politicians say, all right, this is my one time to get in front of a large amount of people without me having to go campaign, without me having to spend money on travel, without me having to, dig through middle America nowhere. I can get this. I have this platform with all these people watching. It's
Hmm.
my turn to shine,
And I got
baby.
to get that sound bite. I got to get that
Right.
real good
Yeah.
sound bite that's going to go viral, and it's going to be
Yep.
on all these platforms you railing against. Your sound bite going to be on them platforms. And again, it was super for it was just for clarification, the big tech and the online child sexual exploitation crisis. That was the name of the official name of the hearing, and it was a bunch of theater, a bunch of performance.
Yeah, so I was actually on Daily Tech News Show last Thursday, and I was on with Justin Robert Young, who is the host of Politics, Politics, Politics. And one of the things he actually said about this was that he kind of knew it was coming because they just had those hearings a few months ago that got those university
Hmm.
presidents fired. It is
Right.
like, so he was fully expecting Congress to straight up Congress in this one and act a stone cold fool, which I was kind of expecting that too. So yeah, we got what we expected, but they have to get together and do something. And Stephanie, you hit the nail on the head with this. You're not going to have a Meta or a X or a Snapchat tell Congress, well, y'all make some rules, make the rules, pass some laws, let us know what those laws are, and then we will, then we will abide by them. They're
Right.
not going to say that because they don't want to invite more government regulation into their world, but that's what they're waiting on
Hmm.
because it's like we are abiding by what the law is. So these things are bad. We understand, but you have to tell us what the law is. You tell us what the law is, we'll abide by it. Like I said, none of those company CEOs are going to say this. That's what they want. But when they're in those boardroom meetings, when they're when no one's listening, when the notes aren't being taken, that's exactly what they want. It's like if Josh Hawley wants this, if Lindsey Graham's want this, whoever wants this, pass a law. Tell me what the law is, and then we will adhere. But you want us to police ourselves and come up with all this stuff, and then so we do something, and then it's not enough, and we're the bad guy.
And
We don't do
and
anything,
we're right
and
back
it's
here again in 6 months
it,
anyway.
exactly. Make a law, pass it. So I think this is going to be a combination of both. These companies are going to have to do something because it's not like it hasn't been, but the stuff that you can do with these AI generated stuff, these deep fakes with kids and stuff like
Yep.
it is dangerous what is happening now. You have to really concern yourself with the just the mental well-being of a lot of young people because of what can happen. It's like we see the things that happen when you actually have cyberbullying. You got a picture of somebody in a compromising position, an actual
Listen,
picture. What happens
I
now is like it's not even a picture of you, it's a fake, and that what can it can do to your reputation.
April, I stood in front of students who had just come back home from the hospital after attempting suicide. I stood in front of students who I asked them, "Why do you think you're even still here right now?" And they said, "Because of the work you're doing to raise awareness about this." These kids are dying. And I say that without a trace of hyperbole or performance or anything. I stand in front of these kids every time I walk into a school. There is always at least one that says, "I had gotten to that point where I couldn't take it anymore." So it really is on all of these adults in the room to make it happen. There are 5 bills right now currently that have been sort of packaged as, a solution, so to speak. The Stop CSAM Act, the Earn It Act, the Shield Act, the Project Safe Childhood Act, and the Report Act are all being sort of packaged together as, a start. But it has to start with repealing Section 230. It has to start there. People need to have some sort of way to get at these companies, and between that and age verification. I mean, we've gotten to the point nobody wants to share that level of personal information, but we have to have a way to know who these teens are on these platforms. Right now, you have no idea. You know, because they put their school name or because of the kind of stuff they post seems a little bit juvenile or whatever, but you don't really have a way of accurately knowing who is a child on these platforms, and age verification is the only way. So if we going to continue to use them, we got to start requiring government issue ID or a copy of a birth certificate or something, because even with whole parental consent, kids will get around that too. Oh yeah, my mom said I could do it. Oh yeah. And parents will give their consent unilaterally without even knowing what they're giving their consent to, because they haven't done the work to research the platforms in the first place. So the only real solution is age verification through some sort of actual, like I said, birth certificate, social security card, something. Nobody wants to give that information up. So it puts everybody in a bind, because you can have as many moderators as you want. The material is going to still be made. The material is still going to propagate. You're not going to be able to catch everything before it gets out there and spreads like wildfire. There just isn't a real technical solution to
Not with
this
user
issue.
generated content.
It
Not
is.
with user
It
generated, and
is.
that's I
And
think
that's it.
that's
And that's it.
yep.
There's not a technical solution. They're demanding a technical solution to a problem that doesn't have one. And you can put band-aids on this thing and stick your finger in the dike and try to stop the water flow or whatever, but it's not a technical problem. It's a human problem. Number one, people are just awful, but also you need to know what you're dealing with on these platforms, and you need some sort of age verification that will accurately identify young people, minors on these platforms.
Yeah, I do some mentoring myself, and I used to be in the classroom years ago. But I was really talking to a few teens, and I didn't realize just how easy it is. And it's not we're not necessarily talking about the social media, but just getting on adult sites. And I'm using like those adult porn sites, like how easy. Go click. Yeah, I'm 18. Bam. The whole everything's available to you. And yes, parents should be this and that, but like it's too easy. It's too easy when you got a phone in you and you the back. Like I'm just saying, like so age verification has to be done. But how do you, like, most kids don't have IDs until they're 16. So how do you so like there's so
You gotta have a birth certificate. That's it. That's all
there's
we
so
got.
many.
And to make matters worse, who does it? Like right now, speaking of porn, Colorado and a couple other states are requiring websites, porn sites, to age verify. The
Right.
websites are pushing back and saying, no, that shouldn't be our responsibility. It should be whoever made the device that they're on. So Apple or Samsung or Google,
Everybody
they should
wants
be
to pass the
responsible
buck.
for it. Right. And of course, Apple and Google and them was like, no, that's got to be bills and stuff passed. So it's almost like everybody wants to be upset. Nobody wants to take the responsibility
At all.
Because
Because
their views are going to go down.
how are we storing this data? We all know how great everybody is about storing data and personal information. I'm being sarcastic right now, but if you got a bunch of social security numbers now and a bunch of screenshots of birth certificates and like, you're just asking to be hacked. You're begging to be hacked and to have your privacy compromised and to have that platform compromised and that information out there on the dark web. So it really, I don't want to be a fatalist about this, but there's not an easy solution for it.
So, Terrance, to your point, I want to say it was Mark Zuckerberg, and he's made this point before, but he was making it last week. Is that why are you looking at Meta and Snapchat and this application and that website and that application and that website to do age verification? Wouldn't it be much easier? Wouldn't it be more applicable to actually make the device do the age verification? So if a parent gives a telephone to their child, it's generally running one of two operating systems, iOS or Android. Well, Google, you do age verification on that and make it, the parent has to, my child is this age, the parent has to set that. based maybe off of billing information or something like that, because, it gets dicey when you start requiring, IDs and these things. I understand that. But if you do it at the phone level, that way the applications and the websites, they can just check in the phone. So
yeah, right. But here's the problem, though, Rob.
Oh, I know the problem. I know
If
exactly
something
what's-
happens, the parents is going to sue Apple and sue Google, and Google going to be like, hey, wait a minute. So nobody wants to take the ball and
Nobody
say, you know
wants the
what,
responsibility.
we'll take it, because if something happens, they are going to be responsible.
Yep.
And since when is the last time a company said, you know what, that's us. Our
I mean,
bad.
and that
No.
makes the most sense
Never.
because you only have those two separate operating systems to worry about. But again, they don't want to shoulder the responsibility. Social media wants to hide behind Section 230. Everybody wants to bury their head in the sand. And meanwhile, the kids keep dying.
Yep.
That may be where a rule, or I should say a law, has to come from our lawmakers, to where they're going to say, hey, Android or Google, you're going to verify age on your devices. Hey, Apple, you're going to verify age on your devices. Hey, Microsoft, you're going to verify age in your operating system. Because if they do those three, they probably are getting, I would say, 95, 96% of Earth.
Yep.
Now, I know folks are saying, well, they can get Linux. You're not making, Rob, you said nothing about, about Red Hat. You said nothing about, these other things. But it's like, let's
Right.
start where
Most 13-year-olds ain't doing that.
and the ones that are don't have a problem getting around it anyway. So,
Right.
So let's start where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. If you are on Android, like I said, Google, the government's going to have to tell Google to do this, but the government, tell Google to do this, tell Apple to do this, tell Microsoft to do this. They will then do it. And at least now you have a mechanism that kind of works. Like I said, I know that somebody's going to build something that's going to get around that, but you've got to start somewhere. You can't say, well, someone is going to eventually figure out how to get around the thing that we're not doing, so we're not going to even attempt the thing that we're not doing. That makes no sense. You can say that literally about everything.
Like, if the EU can make Apple way over here to put in a USB-C into their phone worldwide, it can make them put in another store, an alternative. Like, they literally can make them do that as easy and say, you're going to allow this on your phone. You're going to allow this. You're going to change this port, whether you like it or not. If they can do that, what is wrong with our house that we can't do that on our side?
The lobbyists.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. It is
The
a
lobbyists.
systemic issue because, Rob,
Very
you
much
make
so.
perfect sense. Make the lawmakers do it. Guess who's in the pocket of the lawmakers? Apple and Google and all of them are in them and funding them campaigns.
Yep.
And these politicians will go on these hearings and say all this stuff. When the rubber meets the road and they actually have to sit down and do something. Oh, wait, well.
Right.
And Saray makes a good point.
That check starts getting cut.
There is a more direct issue, not a more direct issue. There is an equally, if not more direct issue with safety and danger, and it's guns. We can't even figure that out. So what makes you think you're going to figure out the internet?
Right.
But how does the EU do it then? Like their government, like how did they get past the lobbyists?
It's a whole societal thing, and America,
cultural.
Western,
It's definitely cultural.
Yeah.
And just
They do something
FYI,
totally different.
Net Choice, Net Choice is the lobbying body that includes Meta, Snap, TikTok, and X. If anybody wants to start writing them some letters or shaking an angry fist, Net Choice is that lobbying body.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we have a lot of freedoms here in the United States they don't necessarily have in in other countries. That makes it a little easier.
Freedoms.
Makes it a
and
little
I think
easier for them to pass some laws on. You're going to do this, or you're going to be barred from running your operating system.
Well,
in our confines of our
to
country.
Kayam's point in the chat as well, different campaign finance laws. That's a huge part of this is campaign finance reform. Like if we could get that piece, I think that would be the domino.
See how much work we got to do.
Right.
Yeah.
We started out with internet child safety. Now we back to campaign finance reform.
Right. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Throw the whole thing away. You know what I mean? Just throw the whole thing away. It's crazy.